short video like about tips related to the speaking part. Now let's go from the speaking part and jump to the writing part. Very nice. Let's jump to the writing part. Okay, the writing section. Now the writing section, we said like it has like two tasks. Now tasks like integrated and tasks not integrated. Okay, like independent tasks. Now let's start with the first one. Now we have something here, the integrated tasks first, then we will read a passage and listen to a part of a lecture and some topics, then answer the questions. So we have a passage like this. So that's the passage. Okay? And after reading the passage, okay. So after reading the passage as the instructions here, like then I listen to a part of the conversation. Like so, you have 20 minutes to plan. Yes, to plan, right? Okay. And revise your responses to reading passages. Okay, so the 20 minutes here are like this. Now, remember when we talked about the reading passage? We said what? Yes, we said in the writing, the independent one, we have like 30, I'm so sorry, the integrated one, we have 30 minutes. We take 5 planning, 5 revising, and 20 to write the whole thing. That's what he's saying. And you have to write from 150 to 250. 25, okay? So these are some examples from what you're going to face. Now, we said always in the writing section is not just like that. The writing section is like evaluating your comprehension for things. And we talked about the methods in the previous session about like the writing thing and how to do the writing and all of the things. We talked about them all. So today, like I'm showing you some examples from the writings here. So we have like a writing section here, like 2 writings, and these are examples for integrated writing. That means we said integration. That means I combine 2. Very nice. I combine two skills together, and I do them together. So the idea here, like, is to combine here the reading, the listening, and the writing together to do this integrated task. And as I said, like it takes like maximum 30 minutes, 5, and 20 in the writing, the whole thing. Okay, now let's go next to the next thing. So these are like two examples, and you summarize the main points and everything. Of course, we said like we talked about how to take points, how to take notes in the writing. So let's say let's like somehow like see something like about taking notes, skills about taking notes, a small video about taking notes, and come back.
The average student takes notes at a rate of 1/3 of a word per second. The average teacher speaks about 2 to 3 words per second. Bottom line, if you're trying to copy down everything your teacher is saying while he drones on about Shakespeare, you're going to fall seriously behind. Note-taking is an important skill in and out of school. It can make the difference between passing and failing a test, excelling at a job, or even enjoying a complicated movie. And most of us don't do it well. Welcome to Wellcast. We took a viewer suggestion for this week's episode, the art of note-taking. We're going to give you a 3-step method for taking notes that will actually help you learn. Numerous studies over the years have proven what's already pretty obvious. People who take notes remember the material better than those who don't. But how much better? A 1970 study by developmental psychologist Michael Howe found that students were 7 times more likely to remember facts 1 week after hearing them if they took notes. But here's the thing. Most people don't know how to take notes. We're taught from a very young age that when a teacher starts delivering a load of information, for example, Shakespeare described Romeo and Juliet's love as star-crossed. That we should start writing down as much of what they're saying as possible. Phew! Well, this is an incredibly inefficient way to take notes. Why? You're not actually learning anything. You're simply acting as a human audio recorder. A recorder, by the way, that only picks up 1 out of every 10 words. And you're saving the learning for later, when you'll have an even less complete lesson plan to look over. Note-taking should actually act as a form of learning. Something that helps you work your way through the lesson as the teacher is giving it, so that when you leave the classroom, you already understand the concepts. So how do you do that? We have a 3-step method for taking the kind of notes that force you to learn the material inside the classroom and not out. Pause and print this sheet and put it in your binder, ready for your next class. Finished? Okay, let's go. Step 1, don't write down facts. Write down conclusions. Don't worry about capturing every single thing your teacher is saying. Spend more time listening and trying to understand the lecture. When you do start writing, format your notes as a series of questions posed by the teacher's lecture and fill in your own answers. For example, question: what is the central theme in Romeo and Juliet? Conclusion: more than being a tragic love story, Romeo and Juliet is about the consequences of deeply held grudges. This way, you're recording the importance of what the teacher is saying and not just raw facts. When you do need to include data, add only the most important points under each question. This is the evidence for each question's answer. Step 2, use colored pens. Yeah, that's right. This will help you remember your notes visually. Also, if you establish a set template for your notes, you'll be able to take them more efficiently. Write questions in red and definitions in blue, conclusions in green. Step 3, review your notes. Don't relearn them. Spend at least 10 minutes organizing your notes after class. If you want to test your comprehension, try teaching the material to a classmate. This will be a great marker to see if you've actually learned anything. Note-taking is a valuable life skill that doesn't lose its utility when you graduate. Find ways to integrate note-taking in your daily life. You'll soon find yourself in the exclusive and creative group of people who bring out their moleskins at lectures, movies, and TED Talks. All right, Wellcasters, let's recap. Today we learned how to take notes in a way that ensures you learn the material during class time and not after. First, write down your conclusions instead of a barrage of facts. Second, use your questions to make connections. And third, spend 10 minutes going over these notes at the end of class. And if you should choose, try going over these notes by teaching them to a classmate or a friend. Hey, who was that lady? Okay. Did these tips help? Let us know. Or if you have a wellness topic that you'd like to see covered, shoot us an email. We'd love to see your notes. Oh man. Tweet us at WatchWellcast, email us at watchwellcast@gmail.com, or leave a comment down below. We'll see you next time. The average student takes notes at a rate of 1/3 of a word per second. The average teacher speaks about 2 to 3 words per second. Bottom line, if you're trying to copy down everything your teacher is saying while he drones on about Shakespeare, you're going to fall seriously behind. Note-taking is an important skill in and out of school. It can make the difference between passing and failing a test, excelling at a job, or even enjoying a complicated movie. And most of us don't do it well. Welcome to Wellcast. We took a viewer suggestion for this week's episode, the art of note-taking. We're going to give you a 3-step method for taking notes that will actually help you learn. Numerous studies over the years have proven what's already pretty obvious. People who take notes remember the material better than those who don't. But how much better? A 1970 study by developmental psychologist Michael Howe found that students were 7 times more likely to remember facts 1 week after hearing them if they took notes. But here's the thing. Most people don't know how to take notes. We're taught from a very young age that when a teacher starts delivering a load of information, for example, Shakespeare described Romeo and Juliet's love as star-crossed, that we should start writing down as much as what they're saying as possible. Phew! Well, this is an incredibly inefficient way to take notes. Why? You're not actually learning anything. You're simply acting as a human audio recorder. A recorder, by the way, that only picks up 1 out of every 10 words. And you're saving the learning for later, when you'll have an even less complete lesson plan to look over. Note-taking should actually act as a form of learning. Something that helps you work your way through the lesson as the teacher is giving it, so that when you leave the classroom, you already understand the concepts. So how do you do that? We have a 3-step method.
So, welcome back. So after this refresher about taking notes, so that's like how we actually take notes on other things. So that's for the integrated one. That's the first one we're talking about. Now let's talk about the second one, which is the independent task. As it's written here, the independent task talks about something familiar to you, not something like technical or something like that. Meaning the integrated, like I will give you the reading and you talk according to the reading that you read. But the familiar topic, I ask you about opinion or something like that. Most of the time it's persuasive writing. That means you're trying to convince me with something. So I ask you about your opinion and maybe I have a different opinion than yours. Like for example, I ask you about teenagers when they work while they're studying. Are you with or against that? Why not? That's the idea. So you give me your reasons explained and everything. Something like that. So for example, like let's give the first example. For example, like this. So the question is something like that. You go through it and you try to write it. Something like what you see here. So what you see here is like this. Now, leaders like John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King have made important contributions to the people of the United States. Name another world leader you think is important. Give specific reasons for your choice. William Lane, whatever. So the king of whatever. So someone here wrote that writing. It's like this. So this writing has like 3 paragraphs. Okay. Now the whole writing, as we agreed, is supposed not to exceed the 350 words and not less than 300, not just 300, 250 is okay. So actually the words are going to be having a counter next to it. So you're trying to count, you're not going to count the words, like yours are going to be counted automatically. Now, so that's, for example, a sample for writing. So William Leon McKinsey, so that's one of the people that they actually talk about here. So what do we see here? We see 3 paragraphs are divided, and we know, how do we know that this is a new paragraph? According to, very nice, according to this space that we talked about, and Ronnie talked about like in the right-hand section when I actually was giving the session. So I played a video for Ronnie from Ingrid. She talked about that part, and that part is important to show the other reader that I'm starting a new paragraph. Now, so I started a new paragraph. I wrote 3 paragraphs. And we said that the paragraphs are what? Yes. So if I'm talking about the essay, the independent task, so I talk about a thesis first. Then I talk about body paragraphs. Then at the end, I talk about the conclusion. So, and we said that each paragraph should have a topic sentence, then supporting sentences, and the last thing, the concluding sentences. Okay. That's like somehow a recap for that thing. Also, we have now a video that will recap with us some of the great tips, some of the great things related to the writing part. We'll do them and we actually will come back again. Okay, so let's watch this video about some great tips for the writing thing. Okay, let's watch it.
Hi, this is Michael Buckoff from BetterTOEFLScores.com. Today I want to talk about the TOEFL IBT writing section, specifically the integrated writing task, Now, if your score right now is between 17 and 23 points, which essentially means you're not passing, but you're getting close to passing, I think this video is for you. Now remember, the integrated writing task involves your ability to read an academic text, and then you listen to a lecture which is related to the reading, and then you'll be asked a question. Usually your purpose is to connect the listening to the reading to show how the two sources of information are related. Now, before you go to Las Vegas to gamble away all your worries because of the stress, and you think that you might not be able to pass this section of the test, I think I have 6 specific tips right now. There's 6 things that you can do. If you do these 6 things, you can definitely improve your ability on the writing tasks. First of all, number 1, it's important to practice identifying main ideas. Now, you could record some news, some informational programs in English. You might pick sources from the internet, from the radio. You may download talks or lectures from the internet. Now, as you're doing this, listen, take notes. Maybe stop the recording about every 30 seconds to 60 seconds. Write out a short summary of what you heard. Now replay the recording so you can check your summary for accuracy. Mark places where you're not sure if you've understood what was said, or if maybe you didn't express yourself as well as you want to. Now, if possible, ask your teacher to look over your summary to see if you have accurately understood and listened to the information, and if you're accurately expressing your idea in English. Now, with a teacher or maybe a friend, you can listen to the recording again and pay close attention to the places where you had difficulty understanding. Essentially, the purpose of this first tip is to help you improve your ability to identify the main points of the listening passages. Now, the second tip. You can read 2 short articles or essays. Maybe these articles have a similar or opposite view on a similar topic or issue. Outline each of the articles and compare the main points. You can write a summary of each text, and maybe you can have someone look over your outline to make sure it's accurate. Now, do another writing task in which you explain the ways that these points are related, the ways they might be different, and the ways in which one article actually supports or makes you look at the other differently. The important thing is you're exploring the relationship between these 2 articles. This is a very important skill, and it helps you better connect the information in the listening to the information in the reading. Tip number 3. You can read one longer article in English. You might pick a magazine, you might pick a website. Do this daily. Now, as you read this article, write an outline, then write a summary of it in English as quickly as you can. Now, ask your teacher to review your summary, if you have a teacher or access to a teacher, to see if your sentences are grammatically correct and if your sentences and vocabulary have accurately expressed the ideas from the original source. Now, be careful. If you're writing a lot of short, simple sentences, you're going to get a lower score in the TOEFL IBT, so you should practice combining these sentences into longer, more complex structures. Remember that you're scored on your ability to use advanced grammar structures. So the more that you can combine your ideas, the better chance you have of getting an actually higher score there. Tip number 4. Read short but interesting academic articles in English. You might find them in magazines, maybe websites. Now, believe it or not, you can do this in your own language. Now, here's the hard part. Take the sentences that are written into your own language and translate them into more complex, accurate sentences in English. Now, if you have a teacher, ask the teacher to review your translations to make sure that it's accurate, especially the content, the vocabulary is good, and the grammar is good. Now, as you're translating these ideas, you need to recognize the errors, the common errors that you're making, and you want to avoid making these errors as much as possible. Tip number 5. Practice combining information that you have heard and read in a written summary. Remember that this is very, very important for TOEFL. So you could read a text before listening to a talk on the same subject. You might make a list of the similarities and the differences of the information presented. Read an editorial on a subject, then you can talk to somebody about it and listen to what they say about the issues. Then you can write a summary of the different views. The important thing here is you practice getting the main points of the reading passage, you get the main points from the listening passage, and then you begin combining this information together. This is a skill called synthesis or synthesizing. Tip number 6. Last but not least, you need to get a list of connective type words. Words like because, which is a reason. You might use a result like thus or hence. Example type words like for instance or such as. Words to compare like in contrast, on the other hand, or similarly or in the same manner. Words that function in a process or list like first, second, third, and so on, and then maybe conclusion like in conclusion, in summary, or to sum up. It's important that you have a good knowledge of these kinds of transition words. So there you have it, your 6 tips for improving your integrated writing skills for the TOEFL IBT. For more information, you can go to my website at www.michaelbuckoff.com.
Our other tips, we're refreshing them, how to actually do the writing sections, how to do it in a correct way, and it gives you some words that you can use and other things. Okay, to wrap up what we actually talked about today, we've talked about lots of things. We talked about some assignments from the integrated and independent assignments. We've showed you some of them. We have some other examples. You have them in your manual, inshallah. I hope it was useful today, especially when we talk about the speaking part, because the speaking part is very important and is very tricky somehow, so you need to pay attention to this very much. And I wish the best for you all, and I wish I was useful, and I don't want you just to rely on that course, not just this course, because it's not going to be somehow efficient for most of you. Sometimes if you need more practice. That means in this course we've showed you lots of ways, and we've showed you how to find your own way. Now, better than just taking courses is working on ourselves. Now, working on ourselves is very important, so you should do this. You should try yourselves. You should pay attention to each and everything you see on the internet about that thing. These are important things. You can Google some things, you can go through YouTube and other things. All of these are some methods of improving yourself. But just try to follow these piece of advice, and try to do it yourself. Try to Google lots of things, to practice, do some effort. Now, I have like a wisdom somehow, like maybe it's taken from Arabic, but like it means like this. Whenever you do lots of effort and you work hard and you feel like somehow like exhausted and other things, you will rest in the future. Now, that's like an idiom for like the Americans. They say no pain, no gain. That means like if you're not working hard, if you're not going to have it like hell, actually, like very painful things and other things, you're not going to gain whatever you want. And everyone like wants to improve him or herself, like, so the TOEFL is like a step, one of the steps that can help you a lot in improving yourselves, because the TOEFL now is required from lots of organizations, as we actually discussed before. So the TOEFL is required and is beneficial to take like a test like that, like to prove that you are able to control your English and talk in an efficient way, and that's important. So do your best, do a lot of effort, try to focus on that thing and try to Google things and try to find ways, okay? And that will be all, inshallah, for us. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for letting us helping you through this course. This was Ahmed Ragab from the Academic Professional Training. Thank you very much. I hope to see you soon, inshallah, and maybe in other courses and other things. So thank you and bye-bye. Thank you for attending.